Hi, everyone. No one's resorted to cannibalism here, right? Okay. Good to know. Let's bring out the reason you're here. Melanie Lynskey. Christina Ricci. And Tawny Cypress. Yeah. Unfortunately, Lauren wasn't feeling well today, so she won't be joining us. I'll pretend. Melanie, before we start, is Jason here and prepared to fight people?
Oh my God. No, he's not. He's at home with our child. Yes.
Has he left any warnings? He's like, no.
No.
He's gonna dance fight, right?
Yeah, he does like a dance fight. Yes.
Well, given this episode, I'm very curious. Let's start things off with, what would a road trip look like with you guys? Who's driving? Who's in charge of the playlist? Who's paying the gas? You're driving, Christina.
Christina loves to drive.
I love to drive.
Remember
and I'm an
first season?
amazing driver. I used to drive you all the time everywhere.
But first off, yes. But do you remember first season when we did the videos back and forth, and she would do the videos in the car driving?
I do remember.
I'm like, what? Pull over.
Safety, Christina.
I wasn't holding the camera. I mean, the phone. It would be like it's a holder thing, and I'd be driving and talking and driving and talking. You know.
How were those scenes to shoot? It looked like fun, despite some of the content.
We like each other.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know. Shooting in a car is never fun.
Oh my God, it was so. We gave her such a hard time. Do you remember? I gave her a hard time. The director.
Right. I was like, who?
Jennifer.
Who do we
Jennifer.
represent?
I thought you meant
I'm so
me.
sorry.
I know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought you meant
I
Melanie
gave her
too.
such a hard
Me
time.
too.
I'm like, how many angles you need?
We did have the
she did a great job.
The scene in the car where I'm texting about Shauna being the murderer and the whole thing. That was, that was in a soundstage. Car was just parked there, and there was it wasn't rear screen projection.
Oh, it's
or
awful.
what
I
was
get
it?
very
It was like,
motion sick, and there's a thing going past, just a moving image on the side.
it's like if you went to like an exhibit at a museum and those big screens that so they were surrounding the car, and if you're motion sick, if you get motion sickness, it would be horrible. But we were there for like, it was a long time and so many angles, and we got a little silly at a
God,
certain
we got
point.
so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silly. Well, I want to start with, we see the outsiders in this episode, and it sort of leads us to believe that the rescue is at least closer than it has been in seasons past. But the way that the girls respond to that is not what you think. There's some apprehension or this fear of, is it time for us to leave? Should we be leaving? And I'm curious what you thought of that as the adult versions, seeing how they were reacting to this moment.
Go, Melanie.
I thought it was very cool and interesting. And also it made sense. It made sense certainly with like Lottie's character, that, you know, her sort of feral, like, no, when she sees them was so cool. And I thought Courtney was so amazing. She was like, oh, I've just been having to pretend to eat brains all day. She was like, so she's so like, oh, it's so silly. She's so different from Lottie. It's so funny. But it was really, I loved that whole thing. That to me, like, I don't know, in reading this season, I was like, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because there's layers to that of what could maybe be fueling that fear or apprehension. Because for some of them, they've tapped into a sort of empowerment or an aliveness out there. Christina, what do you think of that in terms of Misty?
Well, just in terms of everybody, I mean, it was interesting. We were at a Q&A, and the writers were saying that, you know, everything that they do, they have to make sure there's a sort of supernatural explanation, but also a grounded, realistic explanation. And that, again, is an example of that. Like, maybe some of them are more affected by the wilderness and what it wants. You know, that's one explanation. And then the other one is, you know, maybe also people are really afraid of, like they express, people finding out what they've done, especially since, you know, those people really saw it. Yeah. So that made so much sense to me. I think Misty, to me, seems the least affected by any of the supernatural stuff. You know, she's more of kind of like an opportunist and pragmatic. So I think she just wants to go.
Yeah, along those same lines of supernatural or just life, the character of Thaisa, you know, like, is it other Ty that's like controlling the situation and being like, no, we can't go? Or is it pragmatic and saying, we need to clean up first, you know? Like, this is the lawyer in her, this future lawyer that's analytical and saying these things, you know? So I you know, I tend to go non-supernatural. Just so everyone knows.
Do you go non-supernatural, Melanie?
It depends. I kind of waver. It goes back and forth.
Because what did you think? I mean, the episode opens with the frogs mating. What yes. What did you think to learn that sound that we have heard is actually horny frogs? Christina?
Well, I mean, I knew it already, so I wasn't so surprised. But yes, it does make sense. Again, there's a supernatural version and then a very realistic, grounded version.
Well, for the most part, you're learning about what happened in the wilderness as the season unfolds. Can you give me an example of what has surprised you the most and whether it had you rethinking everything or something about your character, Tawny? Sorry.
I was going to drink some water.
Drink your water.
First of all, I learned so much through the Youngers storylines, and everything shocks me. I actually thought the cannibalism would be the worst. I did. I really did. I was like, isn't that bad enough? Like, you know. But yeah, but no, every step of the way it surprises me and it thrills me. I'm a fan of the show, so it really thrills me to get to watch them do these crazy things, like land an axe in somebody's head. It's amazing.
Melanie, how about with Shauna? I mean, seeing what develops with her in the wilderness must have been illuminating.
Yeah, I mean, Sophie and I kind of together early on made decisions about her that have kind of been proven true, which is kind of nice. Because, you know, all we had to go on was a pilot, and she's a sort of like shy wallflower best friend type, and then sort of like a frustrated housewife. And Sophie and I were both like, no. She's so confident. She does not doubt herself for 1 second. She thinks she could get any man or woman in this room. She's like, you know, but like that kind of like absolute belief. And she's kind of in hiding in these costumes as the like quiet best friend or the mousy housewife because she's a little scared of her own power. And so that was a thing that Sophie and I were both like really excited about and like, oh yeah, that's who we think she is. And then, you know, the first 2 seasons, there have been like hints of that. And so it's been fun, I think, for both of us this season to be like, oh, this is her like power season. She's leaning into it and she's going a little bit too far. But
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Were there moments where you texted each other like, oh my God?
We see each other whenever we can, and she just was so excited. Like for me, I'm a little bit like, oh, okay, well, she's still like, well, you know, trauma, and Sophie's like, fuck that, she's a bitch, she's a crazy bitch. Like Sophie loves it. She loves the villain era. She's so into it. So yeah, it's been fun, and like we talk about this all the time, but like it's such an honor to be like creating a character with another person, and all 3 of us, and not to mention everyone else on the show, our counterparts are so talented. Like there's nothing they can't do. So just like Tawny was saying, like to be able to watch the other timeline like a fan is just so fun, and then also to have that be part of your history is for your character. I just like what a gift.
I wanted to dive into that a little bit more. Maybe Christina, we could start with you of what 3 seasons in, what have you taken away from sort of, you know, mirroring a character with the younger version, but also, you know, showing growth or change in sort of different ways. What has that been like for you? How would you describe it?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, for me, Misty is not a character who's necessarily analytical of herself at all, or self-aware. And I don't think that I think that, and also if you mix in like some PTSD for people, sometimes can make them not connect in a linear way to their past. And so I feel very much like Misty is always operating in a vacuum of immediacy and the present. But all of it obviously is informed by her past. And I also always kind of viewed the character as, so that's her as a teenager, and then you add in 30 years of being squeezed by rejection and isolation and loneliness and whatever has been going on in her brain, and you end up with a different, but the same person that she was when she was 15. So I've always trusted that the differences in my performance and Samantha's are justifiable because of that. And I think that if you were to meet me at 16, I would be so much the same person and yet completely different. Really. I promise. So that's sort of how I feel about all that.
As you all have mentioned, we're on 2 timelines. We see the past in the wilderness, and we see them present. Obviously, we're getting closer to the rescue and the sort of transition back to sort of home life. Tawny, what are you interested in exploring or sort of learning about that gap in time of that adjustment period?
I'd like all the information, please. I mean, I would really like all of it. I'm filling in the gaps by myself here. It's a wonky story, so I'd love some direction somewhere. I would love to see all of that. I'm excited. I really hope they do that. Do an after rescue timeline sort of situation, because I think it'd be so interesting to see them reacclimate to society. I'm excited for them to be rescued. Are we all? Get them out of there.
Because Melanie, how do you find that process of, you know, are there lots of discussions with Ashley, Bart, and Jonathan about, can you help me get a sense of what's going on here? Or are you having to recalibrate your performance when you learn new things as it happens? And what's that like?
I mean, we all talk to them at the beginning of the season or near the beginning of the season, and they have kind of an overview of the, you know, but it's general. So, you know, they said to me at the beginning of the season, things are going to get very dark for Shauna. And I was like, okay, I thought they were. I don't know. And then, you know, it's not like so specific as the actual dark things that were happening. So, yeah, I don't know. They're very busy. There's 10,000 people in the cast. We are all making decisions for ourselves, you know, and filling in blanks and talking to our youngers sometimes. And there is a certain amount you have to
At the beginning of the season, they told me, you know, it's going to be a lot of this other tie this season. It's going to be a lot of this other character. So we got into this discussion of what does that mean? And I just talked about this the other day. But I was like, so she a different person? Does she have her own memories? Does she remember things that Thaisa remembers? They were like, yeah, all the memories are the same. So I'm, as an actor, trying to explain it to myself, it's like, how do I rectify this so that it's not just some dumb fantasy? So then it becomes like, oh, it's the same person. she's putting on an act. She's a narcissist. She needs somebody to blame that's not her. So it's like, and that's how I justify it to myself. Is that the story? I don't know. You'd have to ask the writers.
In that sense, how did you approach that hospital moment
The one of which one? Which one?
in this episode with Lauren, where we see? Yeah.
Is the one
it's the
where I
next
get
one?
other
Sorry.
tie? Is it other
Sorry.
tie coming on the bed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so then I justify it by it's so wonky. So then you get caught. Like so she comes up with this way to not take responsibility for things. It's this other thing, you know? But then you can lose yourself in that, you know? And it's actually a struggle to get back to find who you actually are because you've let yourself go so far. So then and also that was all in Lauren's head.
Lauren.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was, she's got cancer. She's hallucinating.
I think that is a thing, though, for all of us, is we all have to also justify the sort of craziness. And as an actor, you have to find a way that it makes sense in order to play it and find emotional resonance. And some of that stuff can be really difficult. And, you know, like you were saying before, sometimes we'll find out things in the past that, you know, had we known them before, we might have done things a little differently. But you can't live in that. And especially with this show, you have to just incorporate it once the audience knows about it and you know about it.
In that sense, is there a scene, Christina, that you would reshoot knowing what you know now?
Well, it's just interesting. I mean, you know, I think I wouldn't reshoot anything, and I can't specifically tell you anything like that, but I do think there are certain things in certain relationships. You know, I feel like given what we see young Shauna do, I feel like and now why we understand Misty's sort of allegiance to Natalie. I would think that, you know, I just feel like maybe there would have been more underlying hostility for me, but maybe that's good for the show because it didn't give anything away. And you know what I mean? Like, you kind of always have to think about the narrative is more important than your specific characters. Like, in, you know, every little detail of your performance and your character's kind of journey.
Not to ask like a really like, this is not a therapy question, so don't take it that way. It can be if you want it. You know, what happens to them in the wilderness is such a formative experience and, you know, informs the women that they come to be in the present. And I would love if you can share, like if you could take fans to a moment in your upbringing that explains who you are today, what would that moment be? And I don't mean trauma-wise, but like, not trauma.
Oh, you are looking for something deep. Yes, you are. Yes,
I
you
mean, you
are.
can if you
Oh,
want.
my.
But is there something that really, tell me.
I will say mine. To give you guys time to think. All right? Hey, you don't have to say anything either. You could just drop the question. I'm going to answer this one. Okay, when I was a teenager, my brother was like captain of the football team. My sister was head cheerleader, and I came in as their younger sister. And I was like, what am I going to be? So I joined the drama club. And I was like, oh, as soon as I got on stage, I was like, oh, I'm home. I get it. Oh, this is great. And then I did a festival where I had to do a monologue in front of a lot of people. And I did it, and I did so good. I was proud of myself, and I got off the stage, and my brother came up to me, so popular, and he was like, you're really good at this. You should do this. And I was like, that's it. This is what I'm going to do with my life. My brother said, okay. And that was it. So that informed me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got nothing but a million little paper cuts.
I know. It was when you said not trauma.
I mean,
Then all my
like,
stories
I'm
have
out.
gone. I know. It's like, well, we're like,
we're out.
sorry I brought the mood down. Christina, Misty is isolated from people, even when she's with them, both in her youth and as an adult. What is your hope for her?
Yeah, I think that she has a really hard time with connection. I don't think she necessarily knows how to genuinely connect with people, and it's all of her sort of trying so hard that creates blocks and distance. And honestly, maybe I sound like a bit of a pessimist, but I really hope that she learns to be happy alone.
I love that.
Melanie, I want to talk about this darkness of Shauna that we see, but I really want to talk about the Shauna-Callie relationship. I mean, the writers lean into moments where elements of her daughter purposely remind her of Jackie, whether it's the necklace or other moments, sometimes even what she's wearing. How have you unpacked their dynamic? What intrigues you about what we're exploring there?
I never think about her reminding Shauna of Jackie. Like, to me, the necklace did not have anything to do with Jackie. And then obviously, there's that scene where she steals Jackie's costume, and for a minute, Shauna's like, "Oh my God, is she here, Jackie?" But then to me, like in Shauna's energy, it felt more like such a like a curtain had been lifted or something, like suddenly something had been revealed that was so private and so personal, and kind of like, how dare she? And also, I do want to connect with her and share with her, but how much can I, and how much can she tolerate? And she has Shauna has no boundaries. It's such a tricky thing because she just doesn't know, she tries to treat her daughter like a friend, and that doesn't really work. She tries to treat her like a daughter, and that doesn't really work. So I think she's terrified of losing her is the number one thing. And I think she's also terrified of losing Jeff. Like, I think there's a part of her that feels like is everyone laughing because I said Jeff?
Yeah.
God.
I appreciated it too.
All right. Well, thanks. But, I think she does not believe that she could be loved unconditionally. And she trusts that he does. So, some things happen in this season that I personally found very devastating, and I feel like the audience is going to be like, she deserves it. But I'm like, she's so messed up, and she does love these people, and she's just messed it up. She just doesn't know how to do it.
Well, there's the moment where Callie says, is my mom really a good person, or has she been telling everyone a story, including herself? What did you think of that moment?
Well, I'm sorry, Callie, but I hate is she a good person or a bad person? Like, very few people are like good people or bad people. There's a lot of that kind of discussion around this show, and it's a little frustrating to me because it's like, who cares? There are people thank you. And I like your colorful top. But like, it's like they've all gone through something, and they've all done horrible things, and they've tried to do good things, and people, like, I don't know, I've done horrible things. Everyone's done horrible things.
We're here to talk about them.
I know.
Well, I don't think it's a secret that there's a high body count on this show. It's devastating, particularly in the present day. How are you processing what that means? Are you giving the side eye to Ashley, Bart, and Jonathan?
There's apparently a brunch. And if you get invited to that brunch,
there's a brunch.
you're dying.
But are you looking at them sideways? Like, is it a situation of the last one standing? Christina, how do you feel about this?
Well, I'm very much of someone, I live in the present, and I'm always like, oh, fire over there, put this out, trauma, disaster. So I don't generally I don't think about things from big picture, but every once in a while someone will be like, oh my God, do you think I'm gonna die? And then I'm like, oh wait, should I be worried? Wait, oh my God, am I gonna die? And then I forget. So I'm just like living in the moment here. Love it. Nothing I can do. I have no control.
Tawny, we've seen the funeral parties. Is there anything you can share about the funeral party for Lottie? Tawny?
That's a youngers thing. Oh, you can go out and get some drinks afterward as one of the olders, but no, we don't do the death parties with the olders, unfortunately.
Okay. That's probably a little too depressing.
Yeah.
I get it. We have the strikes between seasons 2 and 3, and I'm wondering how that break, I mean, obviously at its core, it was about, the survival and livelihood of your craft, but did that separation from the emotional toll of filming a show like yours help you come back to the character any differently? Like, what did that break do for you? Melanie?
I was just thinking. It was obviously it was necessary,
Right.
but like such a devastating time for so many people, and I don't think we've recovered from it yet. So just, being so fearful for so many people, and then the enormous privilege of having a job to go back to, like, I felt almost terrible about it,
Yeah.
It was so, but so grateful.
Yeah.
And I think everybody kind of came into work with the gratitude of, like, how amazing that we're on a show that people watch, and we had this time, and now we're getting to go back to work when so many people are not.
Yeah.
And, creatively, I had some time to, do more work before the season and stuff like that. So that was good. But yeah.
There's been talk of a mysterious episode that was supposed to drop between.
It's because Jason Ritter did it in a French accent. It was awful. Nobody would tell him no.
Is it just
whole
him doing
time.
the Matlock dance in the wilderness?
Yeah, it's him doing the Matlock dance in the wilderness.
I am
yeah.
dying to see that
Yeah, me too. I
episode.
really
It
wanna
is
see it.
so good.
That
It was my
script was
favorite
so good.
episode I ever read. And it
Yeah,
was,
I think I agree.
It explains so much. God, I hope they release it.
So you're not in it?
None of us are.
None
in
of us
it.
are in it.
None. Okay. Okay. We're
It was so good.
we're nearing the finale.
Sound was.
I don't know either. Do you
It-
know
it was
something? Did we
approximating.
film
know
things? They
something.
drugged us and made us
Oh.
film?
Talk to us
pictures
after.
of us in it?
Are we in it?
I don't know.
We're not in it.
The season finales this week.
Oh,
what
boy.
what can you tease now that won't make sense but will when everyone watches?
It's got heart.
You were so quick with that.
You're welcome.
Melanie.
I hope that Thais and Misty still like Shauna. I hope you remember the decades
times.
of history, the good times, the friendship that we've had, and how I've been there for you.
Christina, anything you want to tease?
I mean, there are some really surprising moves made. Divisions, relationships ruined.
Ruined.
No, I mean betrayals.
New alliances formed.
Some strikes at the
Another
heart.
road trip.
There's heart,
It's got heart.
but that heart gets struck at. I know. I'm sorry.
Any biting?
Any what?
I didn't bite.
biting?
I don't
Biting?
bite.
Biting?
Biting.
Misty doesn't bite anyone.
No biting from Misty. No biting from Shauna.
Okay.
I say no answer.
My favorite scene in the finale is with Sophie Thatcher. I will say.
I agree with that.
Sophie Thatcher has a
Awesome.
really good scene.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We ask that you stay seated while our ladies make their exit, but thanks so much for taking the time with us today. It was great.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy the finale.